an arm like that, doesn't he?
Yeah, he puts his arm on the table, does he?
No, it's like that.
How is
with
it?
The back of the chair thing.
And don't forget, the ad man cometh.
Got some questions in from our devoted Twitter fans, and this is a section we like to call Ask the Ad Man.
I'll just give you a bit of profile now. There have been changes over the last 30 years. I remember when free newspapers came into being in the early days of my tenure in advertising, and the way that the Chronicle and Journal restructured their offer to include free delivery newspapers. And they've been a big change. And other changes in the newspaper industry have been these free distribution newspapers like Metro in city centres. These were a revolution even when they first started. Again, early on in my career in advertising, the radio licence changed to allow commercial radio in this country. That was a massive event. And Metro Radio started within a couple of years of me starting up in advertising back in the 1970s. Prior to that, there was no legitimate commercial radio in this country. It was all broadcast from abroad, like Radio Luxembourg. Without a doubt, it's the internet and everything that's brought with it. And in the last 2 or 3 years, the platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and all the social media that people now involved with. Well, good question. This is relatively new to me, although it isn't new to our social media marketing expert who's recently joined AdMast. But I would say that it gets people talking about your brand and your company amongst your friends. It's a little bit like, to me, it's a little bit like an extension of personal recommendation. This isn't... What's the point of this?
So people get to know you.
Good question, that. Probably not any day soon. Pretty much like hospital food in this country.
Yeah.
You had to eat it, although you preferred not to. I think what we've seen, if I can use an example of what's happening in the Middle East lately, of how powerful social media and traditional marketing can be used together to create something that was, well, in the Middle East case, regime change. So what happened there was they used the online social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook. They used mobile marketing in mobile phones, but they also used traditional leaflets and posters to carry that message through to the masses. So what we saw there was the public being in charge of the media instead of the government, and that's what helped to create the regime changes that we're seeing in Tunisia, Egypt, and beyond in the Middle East. And I think that's why social media will never be the whole of the picture, and traditional media like printing can grow with it to create the bigger picture. Obviously not.
Obviously not.
I think you get most of the money down there on false premises. Well, again, a very good question, one that has stretched advertising agencies throughout the years. Obviously, interacting with your fellow colleagues, with your colleagues in the agency, helps to create a dynamic in the agency. When somebody new comes to the agency, they change the dynamic, so that tends to make things fresh. You bounce ideas off people that you know, if you've got, if you want to test your ideas. And these days, of course, you can test your ideas amongst your online friends. Obviously, there'll be more people getting involved in social media in terms of its management, monitoring, and using it creatively. And I think anybody who's been in advertising, who has the creative and communication skills that have put them in good stead in the past, will succeed in the new social media techniques of the future.